All right, so in today's video notes, our topic is scientific attitudes from Chapter 1, Section 2. And our essential question is, how do the scientific community and society influence the processes of science? So I want us to think about for a minute this analogy of the human body and the vital organ being the heart. And let's say the heart is what we call the scientific method, that big, long process that all scientists go through. And that the heart pumps blood throughout the whole body. The scientific method pumps throughout the whole body. And so the whole body would represent all the different sciences, all the different scientists in the world, and the community in which we live, and that vital organ pumping throughout the whole body. And so where do scientific attitudes and exploration and investigation come from? They all come from different scientific ideas. And so let's remember and think back to when we talked back in the beginning of the unit where all science stems from us observing the world around us. So everything comes from observations. And then that leads us to ponder and question and think, why are these things happening?
So one of the attitudes in the scientific community that all scientists share is curiosity. Like this kid right here. He's picking up the frog and he's wondering what is happening, what is going on here. He's observing the world around him and being curious about it. Another one is skepticism, and that means you must refuse to accept explanations without evidence to support your claim. You should always jump into science with a good amount of skepticism so you can find the evidence to support certain claims. And those scientists that disagree will then take their own experiment and design their own experiment to test. Another one is open-mindedness, and that's just having a open-minded attitude to accepting different ideas that may not agree with your hypothesis. And the last one is creativity. It takes a good amount of creativity to design good experiments that yield.
So next we're going to see how scientists communicate with each other through peer review. So my father-in-law is a scientist of chemistry, and what he does is he'll conduct research and find observations and data that are important in his field and publish them in articles. Well, he's not done from there. Other experts in his respected field of chemistry will review them anonymously, and what those researchers are looking for are oversights, unfair influences, fraud, mistakes in lab techniques, or even reasoning in research. They can also be looking for bias represented in research. So what bias is when scientists take a particular preference or point of view and they're looking for something that they personally want to find. So for example, here's a great picture down here, and we see a scientist who's doing an experiment in 3 Petri dishes. And so when he finds his results, he sees that 2 of the Petri dishes have results that he wants to find, and the other one does not. So he's kind of tossing it in the trash and saying that it doesn't matter, he doesn't need that sample. So he's being biased. So scientific data can also be misinterpreted and misapplied when a scientist wants a certain outcome, kind of like this picture below. Lastly, we're going to look at how the relationship between science and society shows how those two things influence each other. So in this picture, we're looking at how the society that we live in depends on oil. Okay, so when we go and get the oil out of oceans, or if we get them out of the land, sometimes it can spill, and then we're going to use science to help remediate or fix the damage we've done in the environment with the oil spills. Also, science has led us with the technology to be able to retract oil from the environment, which society demands. Okay, lastly, we're going to fill out the questions on our Google form. So here are the 2 questions for today. Number 1, name what type of attitude scientists use to help explore and investigate. 2, how can bias affect scientific research? Remember, this is chapter 1.2. Good luck.